most shocking thing you've overheard your friends say about you? My house became the default hangout spot after my divorce 3 years ago, and honestly, I loved it because it meant I was still included in my core friend group's gatherings. Being the only single parent among married couples made childcare difficult, but we'd all been friends since our kids were in diapers together, and it felt wonderful having everyone in the same room so often. Every Saturday, they'd show up around 5 with wine and their kids, and within minutes, my living room would transform into complete chaos while I scrambled to heat up the $100 worth of pizza and chicken nuggets I'd bought earlier. The kids would destroy my playroom while the adults settled into my couch, and I'd bounce between refilling wine glasses and breaking up bites, and wiping someone's nose and desperately trying to catch fragments of adult conversation between disasters. Someone would be telling a story about their boss while I'm scrubbing apple juice off my carpet, and another mom would be showing vacation photos while I'm preventing someone's toddler from eating a Lego. But they'd always pause to tell me I was amazing with the kids, or that they didn't know how I managed it all with such grace. I'd fall into bed exhausted every Saturday night surrounded by destroyed cushions and sticky surfaces, but I kept reminding myself this was what real friendship looked like. They chose to spend every weekend at my house when they could be anywhere else. My 35th birthday arrived with an unexpected gift when my mom offered to take my daughter overnight for the first time in literal years. Saturday morning, Harper texted the group chat about needing to cancel because her mother-in-law was visiting unexpectedly, and then everyone else chimed in with their own excuses about fevers and soccer playoffs and work emergencies. As sad as I was not to see my friends on my birthday, I was delighted at the opportunity to have a special dinner at this gorgeous steakhouse downtown that served actual courses instead of dinosaur-shaped anything. Walking through those heavy doors felt like stepping into a movie where I was playing someone who got to eat hot food and finish sentences, and maybe even order dessert without anyone having a meltdown about the flavor options. The leather booth felt like butter against my back, and I actually giggled out loud at the wine list because I could order something that didn't come from a box, and I wouldn't have to share it with anyone or worry about someone knocking it over. I was asking the waiter about the lobster special and feeling genuinely giddy about eating with both hands when Luna's unmistakable shriek of laughter made me turn around. My entire friend group occupied a massive round table in the private dining section, with cocktails that looked like art pieces, and enough appetizers to fund my grocery bill for a month. They were all leaning in, listening to Harper tell some story that had everyone crying from laughter, and they all looked so relaxed and present in a way I'd never seen during our Saturday gatherings. I started walking toward them, genuinely excited to surprise them on my birthday, when I heard Olivia's voice cut through the restaurant noise. Should we feel bad about not inviting her to these dinners? Someone responded immediately with, God, no. She'd want to host them at her house to save money, and we'd be right back to eating frozen pizza off paper plates while she asks us to watch the kids just for a second every 5 minutes. Harper jumped in with, plus my kid actually likes going to her house. Imagine trying to explain why mommy's going out without them. Another voice added, mine keeps asking when the next party at her house is, and I literally told them she was sick last week, just to avoid another Saturday in that toy explosion she calls a living room. I stood frozen in my birthday dress as Harper glanced up and saw me, her face going completely white before she started aggressively whispering to alert the others. What are you doing here? Olivia blurted out when she turned around. It's my birthday, I heard myself say, even though my brain was screaming at me to run. One of the husbands cleared his throat and launched into some fumbling explanation about how they'd been doing these dinners for over a year but didn't want to make me feel bad about babysitter costs. And Harper added something about knowing how tight money was for single parents. The words hit me like physical punches, while I stood there realizing I'd been running a free daycare with meal service for people who'd been having their real friendships at restaurants I couldn't even afford because I was buying their kids organic juice boxes every weekend. 3 years of exhausting Saturdays and thousands of dollars in groceries and wine, while they saw my home as nothing more than a convenient place to dump their children while they pretended to be involved parents. I looked at them all sitting there with their $40 cocktails and said loud enough for every table to hear, you owe me $12,000 for 3 years of babysitting and catering, but keep telling yourselves you're good parents. I walked back to my table and ordered the surf and turf while they scrambled to pay their check and leave before their appetizers even arrived. One of them anonymously paid for my check and left a tip larger than the cost of my meal, but it was too little too late.